Hello and welcome to eSpeakers TV. Today's guest is the wonderful Patricia Fripp, CSP, CPAE, and Cavett Award winner. Patricia will join our host Terry Brock, CSP, CPAE, and producer Gina Carr in this episode. Patricia will share success principles she's collected from her many years as a speaker, her perspective on the business of speaking, and how eSpeakers has been instrumental in her success. Here are Terry and Gina.
The speaking industry continues to change and evolve. We know that it's a constant matter of staying up to date on new technology, but the relevant technology that works for you. To find out a little bit about what technology to use and what technology not to use, I'm joined with two people today who are joining us to tell us about that. Our guest today is Patricia Fripp, who is a past president of NSA, Cavett Award winner, CSP, CPAE, and just all-around wonderful lady. Patricia Fripp, thank you so much for joining us today.
Always fun to be with you, especially as we've been friends for decades.
I think, a long time. It's amazing. We started when we were 2 years old, and now look, well, I'm thinking something like that. And Gina Carr is joining us, who also works with us here at eSpeakers TV. Gina, thank you so much for being with us today.
Happy to be here. Delighted to learn from Patricia.
Yeah, now, Patricia Fripp, you have been in NSA for, I think, 41 years now. Is that right?
Yes, I turned up. I'm dating myself, but in 1977 as a 32-year-old hairstylist who was 2 years into a 10-year lease on my business, thinking no one's going to want to talk to me. I only talk to Rotary clubs and hairstylists. And two situations appeared. One, I saw the vision of what was possible. However, who knew the vision then was the vision we now learned from Terry Brock. and I got discovered by Mike Frank, who booked me to speak to 2,000 people.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Well, that's how it works. And, I find that there's a lot of principles that still remain true today, even though our technology changes. We're using eSpeakers now to generate more business, to do marketing. But I got to remember that time. I remember a time when I was staying, Patricia, I'm going to take you back to a time in 1995. I was on the stage of what at that time was called the Eastern Workshop. It was in Atlanta, Georgia. And I was demonstrating new things called technology. And I remember it was a wow moment. The audience went wow and crazy when I told them that Patricia Fripp is actually now using email. And they were applauding and thinking, wow, she's really advanced. That's where we were at that time. I remember I would take a picture, literally take a picture of the person who was speaking before me, and people would just go, oh, how do you do that? Because it took a lot back then. This was quite a change. But yet, the technology remains changing, and there's certain principles that work in marketing for speakers, how we connect with people. Patricia, what do you see are those main principles that stay intact no matter what the technology is?
I would say the main technique is to stay flexible, listen to your customers, because they will tell you why they hire you and what else they want from you to help you design what your offerings are based on a pre-established interest. Because years ago, I heard Nido say, don't create a product. In those days, it would have been a cassette tape, no doubt, but don't create a product that you don't have a way to market and you know that people want to buy. So that is a whole different point of view as I grew up. And then also learning from our friends like you. When I used to listen to you talk about demo technology, it was, oh, that's amazing. I could never do that. And I do remember thinking, I'll have to retire. I'll never get an email. So now to be coaching people in Zoom all around the world, and let's acknowledge Terry Brock was the one that said, hey, you should check out Zoom. And to be having webinars with literally hundreds of attendees, that you taught me how to do that. And I should actually mention, Terry, because I tell a lot of NSA chapters this. Certainly, everyone in NSA is very helpful and willing to give you advice. But if you actually want a lot of people's expertise, you have to actually hire them, because I wanted to save time. I wanted to know how to do webinars as well as possible, as fast as possible. So, of course, I wanted my team as well as me to know how to do it. So, of course, you and Gina have been invaluable. But you know, you have to actually engage people to help you do it. But who knew that technology, if we go back to the late 90s, that technology would be available for mere mortals, non-techie people? And I think we got the cheer because people thought, well, if Fripp can do it, anybody can.
Yeah. Well, I think we all look at that and we go, okay, it's amazing what we can do. But now the technology becomes so easy that literally in the palm of my hand, I've got my little smartphone here, and this is my new Note 8 that Steemit and Santa Claus bought for me and Gina just recently, and they're able to do so much with this. I'm just flabbergasted, and we see a lot of good principles. Well, speaking of those principles, Gina, you see a lot of those as well. What kind of principles do you see that are important for learning the technology and for using it in the right way?
Well, a principle that I think it's okay. I think it's very easy to get overwhelmed by new technology. So a principle that I try my best to use, and I encourage other people to use, is what's called just-in-time training. And so back to my industrial engineering days at Georgia Tech and in the working world, we talked about just-in-time inventory. Well, just-in-time training is, you know, for what I need to do right now, I need to learn how to do a webinar. I need to learn how to do Zoom. I need to learn how to do a Facebook Live event. Whatever that event is, you can get sucked down a rabbit hole of many different options in training. But if you, as Patricia was talking about earlier, she really wanted to master the webinar delivery. So she hired somebody, you know, you and I, to help her with that. And so I think that you know, digging in and really learning what you need to know right now to do this next part of what you need in your business is what's really critically important, without getting distracted about all these other things that you're going to need to know later. And I've definitely made this mistake a lot in my life, and I try my best now to really say, okay, even if I'm just reading a single article, read till I get a new thing to do, stop, go implement it, then come back and read more.
Yeah, I think so. It's a matter of looking at different chunks and where we are. And speaking of that, Fripp, I want to go back to you about something that we have seen and you and I have talked about before, the idea of the different stages in our career that we know we can do. So as technology changes, so do our careers as speakers. Talk to us a little bit about that and how we can face that and how tools like eSpeakers come in and help us with that.
Well, definitely. If you're a small business person, you do need tools and technology and scheduling to keep you organized. And at this point in my career, I have more help than I've ever had, but I'm actually in my office alone and I do my own scheduling. I don't trust anybody else to do it. So you need something like eSpeakers to keep you organized. What I have added to now, is because I do a lot of hourly work, I need a Google Calendar that coordinates. Anyway, going back, when I first went to NSA, everyone wanted to be keynote speaker. And for the first chunk of my life, I was really quite successful as a keynote speaker, delivered as much as 120 keynotes a year for many years. And because I'm single, always have been single, I could stay out on the road. And in those days, you will remember, if you actually came home on a Friday, your airline ticket was $1,200. If you stayed till Sunday or Monday, it would be $350. So I'd say to my clients, look, you know, why don't I stay in Chicago another couple of days? Even if you pay 2 more nights in a hotel room, it'll still save you $500 on the airline ticket. Well, they were thrilled, and I got to enjoy cities, and I had no reason to necessarily come home. I'd rather have a vacation for a day and a half. So, but anyway, from that, as you know, I was the first person at NSA to talk about hiring speech coaches. And I was so interested, and I loved talking to NSA chapters about speaking and what I was learning from coaches, etc. But I'd always said, if people said, oh, do you coach? Well, and no, go to Ron Arden, go to Dawn Bernhardt. And then in one day, 2 executives wanted coaching. I was speaking at a conference for a small personnel company, gave my speech, the executive gave her speech, and then at lunch she said, do you do any speech coaching? I said, well, a little for my friends. And she said, I wish I was one of your friends. Then I got back to my office and there was a voicemail, Gina from Our Kind of Woman, you know, just great energy, said, I don't know if you do this, but if you do, I want to buy you for my husband for his birthday. That was exactly what she said. And she said,
interesting wording on that.
Yeah, exactly. I think I will jump out of a cake for the right amount of money.
The lucky husband.
I have done it for our chapter, for our NSANC chapter I did. That's another story. But she said, my husband's a good speaker, but he has a really important speech to give. And 7 of my salespeople came to your speaking school and loved it. Can I engage you to help him with his speech? And I thought, okay, God, twice in an hour, I got the message. So that was the day I officially put up my shingle as an executive speech coach. And then a sales manager, national sales manager said, I liked your speech, but I loved how you delivered it. Can you teach our salespeople to speak that way? Because we are losing business because our competitors are better. So that evolved. So I added speech coaching, sales presentation skills training, which meant longer. People will hire you year after year. You know, a lot of keynotes, oh, we loved you, Fripp, but we can't hire you for another 4 years. Well, with executive coaching, once you get in there, you help them with every speech for the rest of their lives. And then they bring you in to work with other areas. And now, more than ever before, just when I'm saying slow down, I want more time off, I've never been as busy. And perhaps you can relate this, Gina. Jane Fonda, when she was 60, said, I am now in the 3rd act of my life. And it's the 3rd act makes sense of the first 2. So I would say at this point, all the years, all the information I've hired from people like you, that I've learned from speech coaching, I've been coaching, now it's all coming together. And I have a couple of clients that I'm designing training for the Executive Briefing Center. I'm training 120 engineers twice a year, all in Zoom from around the world. They book their own appointments in my calendar. They take me to their international meetings to Nice and London. So it's, you only need 1 or 2 of those. And when they don't need you, well, you can fill in other work. But
yep,
hopefully by next year, I really can work hucklebuck, take more time off.
There you go. We can do that. But I think interesting there, those of you that are watching this, listen to what she just said. It's an evolving, changing matter, and you keep adapting to what customers and what buyers are willing to offer, what they want. We pay attention to them, as Alan Weiss has told us many times. We listen to the buyers. And I know in my own career, I did, Patricia, as you know, I was talking about Lotus 123 way back then. Now it's more on crypto. So I'm speaking and emceeing at crypto conferences around the world. How to use blockchain, Bitcoin, tools like that, and where we're going with this. And I see it all over again. It's almost like history's repeating itself. People would laugh at me using the spreadsheets or this thing called email. They go, what is that? I know what mail is, but what is email? And now we see the same thing. People are saying, Bitcoin, what is that? Oh, it's no good. You go, no, it's going to be around. This crypto is going to be there. So I love what you're saying to us, Fripp, the idea of keep evolving and changing. What's the best way that you have found to do that? Because I know our human minds usually say, I'm doing it this way right now. I want to keep doing this. This is what I do. How do we break free, and what mindset do we need in order to embrace new as new happens to us?
Well, I'm frequently known to say God gave us young people to keep us up with technology. So obviously you do need to have younger friends or friends like you who are young thinking as far as what's new, especially technology wise. For many years, I delivered seminars called The Odd Couple with Alan Weiss. And we know Alan Weiss is a whole different type of thought leader as far as how much money you can actually make as a solopreneur.
Yeah.
But at one of our seminars, and this was when PowerPoint was fairly new, and we were actually using a few PowerPoints. And one of our attendees, who was an expert in PowerPoint, and Alan had mentioned that somebody creates his PowerPoints, as is true with me now. She said, you could make your own PowerPoint. And Alan said, yes, but I'm not going to. So I would say one of the important lessons, and this was a great lesson for me in the early days of when we had websites. And we used to go to Tom Antion butt camps to learn. So I would say, I don't want to do it myself. I don't want to do all the back end for the webinars, but I want to have a knowledge of how it works, what you do, so that when I delegate for somebody else to do it for me, I have better idea. No,
exactly.
That shouldn't be taking you 8 hours. That should take you an hour at the most. Or don't pay me. I'm not paying you to learn how to do it. You can do it.
Absolutely.
This is what I learned from Harold, who is my assistant downstairs. He lives downstairs, and his job is to make my life easier and make sure my computers all work.
Yep.
And I'd say, Harold, I need you to do this. And he'd spend 8 hours researching, finding out, understanding, learning this. I said, why not call the helpline? And he said, because I learn so much when I'm working out to do it, which only works because Harold does not bill me by the hour. Don't bill me for 8 hours if you're learning. Bill me for an hour on what time you actually had to do it for me.
Absolutely. Let me interrupt you.
Overview, you don't understand that.
Yeah, let me interrupt you there for a moment. Those of you that are watching, this is really important. Pay attention. That you might even want to stop and kind of scroll back a little ways and listen to that again. Do what you do best. Don't try to spend this much time. Matter of fact, this much time. Notice my hands are off the screen. This much time. When you should be able to get somebody else that can do it in this amount of time, you pay them while you go out and do something better. This is what Peter Drucker has said to us. This is what many people who are very wise have said, including Patricia Fripp, who's saying it right now. Patricia, thank you for sharing that. It's important. Well, we see, Gina, I want to pause here for any questions that you might have for her regarding marketing and what she has done in her career as well.
Well, let's see. You know, we are talking about eSpeakers TV, and so I know earlier in our pre-chat you were talking about some of the things that you are, ways that you're using eSpeakers and some of the ways it's helped you for so many years. Do you have any of those tips to share?
Well, I don't know that I have tips, except it is the best, easiest way, and I've said this at every eSpeakers user meeting ever, it's the best, easiest way for a small business person to stay organized. That's it. And I certainly don't use every feature and bell and whistle that they offer, and it's still one investment I would never give up.
Absolutely.
And what I really like is how you can change your profile on a regular basis. And of course, it goes to all the speakers bureaus that are connected to you. So it is, again, a time saver. And I think both Terry and Gina have been saying for us for years, when technology is used right, you'll save time.
Exactly. That's the key. Well, we could stay here for another 15 hours, I think, talking to you, Patricia. We really appreciate your time. Before we let you go, though, first of all, I want you to let us know how people can get in touch with you. If they say, hey, I want to get some help and get some coaching, you might be, those of you watching this, you might consider yourself really good in speaking, and you could be. But I have found that when you work with someone like Patricia Fripp, she can take that and tweak it and go, oh, you need a little bit longer pause right there. And so you need to use this story this way and that. And she can do that in a professional way. Get in touch with her. So Patricia, please let us know how to get in touch with you. And any final words that you have for those that are watching that are using technologies like eSpeakers and also see things changing a lot, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say if you want to contact me, go to Fripp, F-R-I-P-P, myname.com. You'll find out everything I offer to help my clients. And email me at pfripp@fripp.com. That's nice and easy. And as far as my last words linger, the best advice I can tell you is do what you do best and revisit, refocus, and rescript. Revisit how you market. Revisit how you communicate. Revisit your speech that has served you well. Refocus your energies, your marketing, your message for this point in your career. And if you have to rescript, rewrite what you're saying. And relax and remember, speaking is the best business. One, it's such an education, learning so much about the companies and from the brilliant people we work with and for. And who else is going to pay you to fly to Nice and put you up in a hotel? Always go early and turn every trip into a mini vacation.
I like that. Very good words of advice. Always go early, turn every trip into a vacation. We learn a lot that way. Patricia Fripp, you have taught us so much. You continue to do that, and we want you to know we greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much. Really appreciate it. And Gina, thank you for being with us today as well. Any final words that you want to leave with our audience, Gina?
Well, I do want to encourage people that if they, Patricia has a fabulous community of people who are learning about speaking from her, and I think it's very affordable. I don't know the exact price. Maybe you could fill us in there, Patricia. But it's a great program which just got constant webinars going on and training people and helping them improve their speaking skills. And then obviously, certainly, eSpeakers is a fantastic resource, and I encourage everyone to dig around in there. There's so many features that you don't even know exist. Every time I tell somebody about something about eSpeakers, they're like, I didn't know it did that. Like, yeah, so dig around in there. Just get in and spend some time learning how it can help you.
Very good. All right. Well, ladies, thank you so much for joining us. And for those of you watching, this is one of those recordings you want to go back and you want to review because there's a lot of wisdom there. We've seen many, many good ideas come from that. eSpeakers is a tool that you'll want to look into. I love it. Getting in there and looking at it, seeing what's available. It's great for booking. It's available for many other tools. And remember that our speaking profession changes continually. We see it adapting. So kind of go with the flow. What was it Bruce Lee said? Be the water. So just do that. Roll with the punches. Have fun. On behalf of eSpeakers TV, I'm Terry Brock, and thank you for being here with us today.